You're listening to Life with DJ Sessions right here on WCSUFM.org.
Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Life with DJ Sessions. My NMLS number is 271823. Today we got a special guest, RC.
Hey, thank you.
Man, thank you. If you could please just introduce yourself to the audience, let us know who you are.
I'm RC Caldwell. I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio. I'm an engineer by degree. I went to the University of Cincinnati, got a bachelor's of industrial engineering and a master's in engineering from Wright State.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're a smart guy, it sounds like.
Not really.
Yeah, okay. Well, and you know, for you,
I work hard.
You work hard. Wait, yeah, I'm with you there. And so what I want to do, because I know that you are a smart guy, and you're really a serious guy as well, and I wanted to make sure I had some questions for you, because I know what you do is very technical. So, you know, and I've kind of list here, so if you see me looking down on this, it's because I don't want to mess up, right? So kind of question number one, what inspired you to pursue a career in Lean Six Sigma process improvement, and how did you get started in this field?
That's a very good question. Actually, I used to work for McDonnell Douglas. They've been bought out by Boeing, but I started there, and I got an opportunity to actually sit in a seminar with Dr. Deming.
Okay.
And those of you who don't know who Dr. Deming is, Dr. Edward Deming, he went over to Japan, helped Japan quality. Okay, he the one turned them around.
Is it Toyota or is that
He helped Toyota. He helped really there because it was right after the war, World War II.
Okay.
And Japan struggled. I mean, I actually lived this where Japanese cars used to be junk. Okay, you guys don't know about that.
I was saying, because I've always been told they were great cars, right?
Yeah, prior to that, they were rust bucket on wheels. You know? As kids, we used to say, don't buy a Japanese car at that time. But Dr. Deming went over there, and he introduced them to his concepts of total quantity management.
Nice.
And they took advantage of that. So I learned from that, you know, one of the key things that he said was management was 80% of the problem. And that stuck with me. And I knew I was part of management. So I always wanted to be on the side of improving and having solutions and helping. It's not on the part of, you know, causing the problem. But, you know, Dr. Deming was deep. That was a very good early lesson. Right out of college, you know. So from there, my whole journey has been with Lean Six Sigma. First it was Lean, then I learned Six Sigma, and then now we're into operational excellence.
Right.
And what I see now is a global excellence.
Okay.
Whether you're in the United States or you're in China or wherever you are, or you're doing manufacturing, you should be global excellence where you can compete with anybody in the world.
That's smart.
Because,
it makes sense.
Yeah, because, you know, countries like China have labor advantages, right? Their cost of labor is cheaper. So you got to be smarter if you're going to be in the U.S. to compete with that.
All right, I like that. All right, another question here. How do you approach identifying process improvement opportunities in a company, and what factors do you consider when deciding which processes to prioritize for improvement?
Oh, that's a great question. First of all, our approach is we always ask the leadership, the CEO, the general manager, whatever level we go in at a company. Some corporate companies have directors to bring us in. We always ask that leader, what is the worst case operational problem they have? What's keeping them up at night?
Right.
That's the problem that we start with, because if we solve that one, the rest of them are easy.
Right.
And we'll get the low-hanging fruit. We always get that. That's easy.
Yeah.
But if we can solve that problem, then we have everybody in the company in the right direction.
Nice. And I hope we're not giving away any secret sauce or anything.
No.
I know.
The thing that is very few consulting companies can do that.
Okay. Right.
I mean, if you were right now, if the CEO had a consulting company in there, I asked them to ask that consulting firm to work on their hardest problem.
Right. Okay.
Work on it right up front and see what they can do.
Right.
Because everybody, I've trained for this.
Right.
You know, I was in corporate America.
Okay.
So I've done this, and you have to be trained for this. You
Right.
have to understand.
Well, it sounds like we're rolling right into the third question here, where it says, can you describe a project you worked on where you successfully implemented Lean Six Sigma methodologies and what impact it had on that organization?
Excellent. That's a good question. I'll give you my most recent one.
Okay.
Last year. And this particular, it was in Richmond, Virginia. I will tell you that. This particular plant that I was working with make home wrap.
Okay.
You probably seen they make Tyvek. And what Tyvek is when COVID hit, those people had those white uniforms.
Yeah.
That's Tyvek.
Okay.
Protective. So
I always get scared when I see those people.
Well, that's okay.
I'm like, oh no, something's about to go down.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's real.
Right.
Because they're not wearing those suits just to be funny.
Right, just to want to look cool in one of those suits.
Right. Yeah, but the beauty of it is they also make home wrap.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the buildings, commercial
like in
buildings?
construction.
Yeah, construction. Yeah. And you know the house was booming. The house building was booming right after, so they were trying to improve that.
Right.
And I thought I'd turn this thing
Yeah,
on.
it's all good.
So they were trying to get more capacity.
Okay.
So when I went there, what I did was, I said, okay, that's your worst case.
Right.
So I focused on where their constraints were.
Okay.
Okay. And, I know how to find bottlenecks. Now, what a bottleneck is, if you ever wash clothes,
yeah.
Okay, there's a washer and a dryer, right?
Right.
The dryer is your bottleneck. Okay, because the washer cycle is real fast.
Right.
So if you speed up your washer, you'll have wet clothes in the middle.
Yeah.
So you have to wait. All right. So I was able to identify their bottleneck, and they had what is called a dynamic bottleneck.
Okay.
That's why they couldn't see it. And everybody, unless you've seen a dynamic bottleneck, what that means is sometimes they run a part number. There's no bottleneck.
Right.
Everything flows through. And then a different part number comes through there, and there's the bottleneck. Then you have your constraints, and inventory builds up.
Yeah.
And you can't run it the same way. So a lot of factories, they may have 30 or 40 different bottlenecks. Okay? And it's not easy to see, and everybody can't discover them.
Right.
And you got to know which one is critical.
Wow.
So that's what I was able to do. And how that helped before I left, we identified 40% more capacity.
Oh, wow.
And I put together a plan for them in 6 months to get that 40% capacity.
Nice.
And once they had that plan, then they could execute it from there.
Nice. All
So,
right. That was good.
It was a great project. I love those type.
Well, it is funny because I don't know if these questions were just lined up, but it kind of says, how do you measure the success of your Lean Six Sigma project, and what metrics do you typically use to track progress?
Yeah, progress is, I use their metrics.
Okay.
I use their data.
Okay.
So that makes it a lot better because it ain't something I'm creating. It ain't, and I make sure that I team up with them.
Okay.
Okay. And it's more of your problem is my problem.
Right.
And let's see if we can work this out. Because, see, I'm not an expert at what they do.
Right.
Right? I mean, I done been in chemical companies. I done been in automotive. I done been in all these type of different companies.
Right.
So I have to use their expertise
That's
and
true.
what they know. And what I bring to the table is the Lean Six Sigma knowledge.
Right.
That and they have their black belts and they have their green belts, but since I'm a master black belt and I use this so much, I have perfected the skills.
Nice.
If you understand, I have some people have black belts out there. There's a lot of people that have black belts. There's a lot that have green, and they don't use it. Okay, and if you don't use it, you can't polish that. You can't polish it.
Don't use it, don't lose it.
That's right.
How do you ensure that employees at all levels of an organization are engaged in the process improvement initiative and are supportive of the changes being made?
Man, you got some great questions.
Hey,
and it's right. Like I said before, I team up.
Yeah.
Right? So when I first get there, we put together a project charter, and what a project charter is one document that let everybody know what the goals are,
right?
What the problem statement is.
Okay.
And then we put in every team member, and I always make sure I get people on the floor, and I make sure that if there's a CEO involved, if it's a small company, that they are the sponsor.
Right.
In this case, the general manager of the plant was the sponsor.
Okay.
And being a sponsor, he had the responsibility to make sure that we stayed on task.
Right.
He had the responsibility, if we ran into a roadblock, that he can clear that roadblock. Okay. And then I made sure that we got the operators involved. Okay. So we would pull a couple of key operators off the floor to sit in our meetings.
Okay.
So they would know what, and that's how we get everybody involved. Because see, when you leave there, it's got to be sustained.
Right.
And the way it's sustained is by the people there.
That's true.
It's not by the consultant.
Right.
So they got to own that process. So you got to have the process owners involved.
I like that.
So I always make sure that we have a cross-functional team and that we have all levels involved.
Okay. Very nice. Well, it's funny because the next question is, can you describe a situation where you face resistance to process improvement initiatives, and how did you overcome it?
It's always there.
I was going to say it's always
because the reason why is there's a natural tendency for people not to want to change.
That's true.
Even when it's bad, people don't want to even when it's bad, they want to do what's natural, what they've always seen. So you have that, and you have to recognize it. Then number two, you got to show them that this is better for them, and it will help them, and you got to get them involved. And then number three, you got to ask them, because a lot of this lean has been done before. I've went into plants where you can't use the term lean, so I had to ask them, what do you want to call it?
Right.
Continuous improvement, whatever you want to call it, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
So you gotta feel what makes them more cooperative.
Yeah, that's smart.
So
I like that. That is real nice. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and techniques in Lean Six Sigma process improvement, and what resources do you typically rely on?
What I do is I stay in tune with professional societies.
Okay.
Right? So the best way to do that is to get involved. Okay. So I get involved. I'm part of the Institute of Industrial and System Engineers.
Okay.
Last year I was part of the Shingo.
Yeah, I do remember the Shingo thing you talking about. Yeah.
So I always stay involved. Another way I do is I always look for and research the latest and the greatest in my field.
Right.
Okay, so I'm listening and learning from other master black belts and Lean Six Sigma guys and seeing what they do. I always continue to keep my knowledge and my ear to the industry because you can't just rely on I can't just rely on my abilities and assume that things are not changing. Now the evolution now is information systems and technologies and robots and 3D. So what I'm trying to do is figure out how that's going to all work together.
Yeah.
So I will use some robots to solve a problem. Okay, that we had, and that is the future. Lean and what they call Industry 4.0.
Okay.
The digital thread.
Right.
Is linking all this together. Okay, and then Lean Six Sigma and using, the Six Sigma at the appropriate time, using technology at the appropriate time, using apps at the appropriate time, using 3D printers. So I'm keeping up on that. And another thing that helps me is I'm a professor, an adjunct professor at Wright State.
Nice.
School of Medicine.
Nice.
And I'm teaching black belt there and green belt.
Okay.
So, I'm constantly around that. And I also teach down at Sinclair. I teach
Sinclair, nice.
Yeah, Sinclair's a good school, man. It's a great school. It's one of the jewels of Dayton. And, I teach there. And so I have this interaction with the young.
Yeah, I would say the young.
It keeps me, because they ask questions, so I know I got to keep the latest for them.
Yeah.
So I stay into with software.
Okay.
So I make sure, because they got to have the right software.
Oh, yeah.
So I make sure that I feed them the right software so I learn it too.
Nice.
So
well, it sounds like to me, and to sum up, you're just staying sharp. I mean, you got to keep
and that's the only way. That's the only way that a good consultant can bring the best to a company.
That's true. All right. And I'm almost done. I've only got like 3 left.
No, you're doing good. I don't know how you got all the right questions. I'm loving it.
I do a little research, man, and we've known each other for some years.
Yes.
So wrapping up on a few more, how do you balance the need for process stabilization with the need for flexibility to adapt to changing business conditions, which you kind of really touched on, because we are dealing with a lot of changing conditions.
We are.
Technology and everything else.
And I did. That's the way you do it. You make sure, number one, you got to have a stable system.
Right. Okay.
Because you don't want fluctuation. Because that's one of the things that hurt companies with employees. If they don't have a stable operating procedures, and people don't know what they doing, then that brings chaos.
Right.
So stability is very important, and flexibility, and you work that out. Okay. Right. The stability, you want that first, and then you work on that flexibility.
Okay. Nice. How do you determine when a process improvement initiative has reached a point of diminishing returns, and when is it time to move on to other projects?
First, number one, when you implement an improvement process, you should have a control plan.
Okay.
And what that control plan is, it's a time period that you're looking for stability. And once they've obtained that stability, and everybody has adapted, some it only takes 2 weeks, and then other may take 6 months, depending on the size of the project. Some may even take a year. And you just got to watch it. You got to stay with it. You got to make sure, because people are going to want to regress back to what they did before.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you made it easier, okay, and you made it better, they're going to turn back. And that control plan lets you see that. And the biggest thing is, and then once you get that, then you're ready for the next improvement project. Okay? Once you went through your control plan, you can go to the next one.
Nice.
Okay,
really
now,
nice.
Most of the times, though, if I'm working with a company, we may have 3 or 4 projects going on at the same time. But the way we do that is we make sure that it's not projects that'll drain the company. What I mean by that is some of the projects take effort and time. So you make sure that it doesn't mess up their day-to-day activities. Okay. So if you got 3 projects and it's 3 different groups and they're big enough to handle it.
Right.
Okay. And there's it can be overlap projects. Some of them can be in all 3 independent.
Okay.
So
nice. What advice would you give someone who's interested in pursuing a career in Lean Six Sigma process improvement, and what skills or qualities do you think are essential for success in this field?
Well, the first thing is you got to have a desire.
Yeah.
You got to have the desire to want to make improvements and help the situation, and to understand that Lean is one of those tools, and Six Sigma are tools to help people make their job easier and make the right product all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that. Wow.
It's quality and it's efficiency.
Yeah.
Effectiveness and efficiency. And if you want to be a part of that, that's the interest that you have to have.
Right.
Now, if you want to go to the black belt, you got to, number one, like math and statistics.
Okay. So you got like math, like
Yeah.
numbers. Okay.
You got to like numbers because, you know, the thing that I like about it is it's not prejudice. You can't prejudice your way through this.
Yeah.
It's because math don't lie.
Right.
It's
Right.
that's why I've always loved it as a kid, because it has nothing to do with your religion. It has nothing to do, when I can remember when I was in my master program in Wright State, and I had a guy from Thailand that was part of my team. Now, he didn't speak much English, and I know I didn't speak Thailand. So, you know, him and I, we didn't communicate much. But when it came down to the numbers,
Yep.
and we started writing down the numbers, we
Mhm.
communicated
Yeah, yeah.
clearly.
Universal language.
It was no mix up. You know, we put the numbers down. We both
Right.
looked at them. Yeah, that's right. You know, it was fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about if you like doing that. You know, I was showing them one area that they had a bottleneck in another location, and they said, and somebody questioned that and said, how do you know this about? It was just pure numbers. It was just pure numbers, and I just told them, I said, look, guys, that number, you can fire me tomorrow,
Right.
and that's still gonna be the same. It ain't gonna change.
Right. It's the number.
So when one of the other guys told me, he said, man, we presented to our manager, and he said, how do y'all know? And they said the same thing I'd said.
Nice.
It's like 2 + 2.
Right. Well, and I'll just kind of wrap it up by saying, so you and I, we connected 2018, I believe, 2019. I know
Yeah.
it was through
Yeah.
networking and
It was.
being a part of the networking group, and I know you're very sharp, really well connected. You know, any final words you want to kind of say to the audience, and just, you know?
No, it's just, I mean, I'm glad we did connect. That group was great.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, for me, that group, I was looking for, guys that were like-minded
Yeah.
and sharp, and I got a financial analyst out of the group,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
got a new accountant. Now, my accountant before was doing great too.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. He's doing great, but he's coming to a retirement time.
Yeah.
So I knew he was coming to that, and I was trying to find me somebody. So continue, and I found two of the best guys in their field.
Yeah.
And that's what I was looking for. And number one, more importantly, we're friends.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we're friends now, like you and I.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
friends. And ain't nothing like that. So to do business and have competent people around you,
Right.
quality people, and then they be your friend, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
networking
real
is the
cool.
key, guys.
Yeah.
Do you want to leave any handles and people get a hold of you, or do you want to keep it low key?
Yeah, no. If you, I mean, I have a website. It's www.caldwellassociateexcel.com.
Okay.
My email is rc.caldwell@caldwellassociatesexcel.com.
Okay. All right.
So you can get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook. I don't like it, but I'm on there. And I'm on LinkedIn too. So, and like I said, I'm an adjunct professor at Wright State, so you can catch me there, and Sinclair. So,
good. Well, thanks again.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Another lesson in financial empowerment. And tune in for the next show. Thank you.
You're listening to Life with DJ Sessions. Special thanks goes to Wade Oberlin of OnOurOwnRadio.com, Charles Fox, K-Divas Music Media, and the BDG Network. For more lessons in financial empowerment, stay tuned right here on WCSUFM.org for more Life with DJ Sessions.